registration at this point.
Yeah. All right. I don't. Oh, there's 7 people came in. So all right, we're good. All right. If everybody can see the comments side there, how's it going? Good afternoon. For those you don't know me, I'm Joe. This is Jeff here.
What's going on, everybody?
All right, we got Greg, we got Scott.
Okay.
And throughout this, if you guys want to post comments in the section here, we can try to answer them. I know Jeff's probably predominantly going to be sharing the screen. It have his information up, and I can kind of read off comments as we go, and then as I find things, I'll shoot them Jeff's way as well.
Yep. Okay, and I'll share my screen here, and so I'll start with doing a little bit of a Amazon to Amzon Flips. Let's see. So I present and share screen. And we want to do a window. This is our first time doing this, so all right.
There you go.
Oh shit, but I shared the wrong screen. Damn it. Okay. Let's see. Oh.
No, don't leave the studio.
Don't leave the studio. Let's see. Stop screen. We'll get there, guys. We'll get there. Let's see. Share screen. Present. Share screen. Share screen. I'll do a tab. No, I don't. I want a window because I need to be able to. There we go. Okay. So now I'm sharing my screen. Boom. Look at that. Okay. So how I do, A to A flips. The first thing.
Hey, just said, can someone in the comments mention if they're good, they can see Jeff's screen good and can read it okay? Because he's going to go through some of his settings in a second here to kind of show you how he goes. Okay, cool. Thanks, Stacy. All right, Jeff, go ahead.
Okay, there you go. Can't post comments. Okay, so Keepa, obviously use Keepa for a lot of different things. If you go to the deals section, that's where you can configure to try to identify things when prices drop. Ultimately, what we're looking for is items that has dropped temporarily from the average price. And when I'm scanning it, I'm usually looking for stuff. Really, there's 2 types of flips you can buy. You can buy the items that are hard to find type of items that, hey, it retails at 20, but Amazon has a hard time keeping it in stock. And when Amazon goes out of stock, you might be able to sell it for 40 or 50 or 60. Those ones are much more risky because you're buying it at 20, and if Amazon stays in stock, it's not going to recover at price because that's the MSRP. So really, my main search in Q4, we might dabble in some of those ones that are like pricey, hard to find stuff, and every year there's usually a couple items where it's worth buying a retail price. But in our general search here, what I'm looking for is items that are having a temporary price drop. Usually it's Amazon and another store price matching, which is also when you find that Amazon has the low price, you should go to Google and search and see if you can find somewhere else. I posted the Skechers deal this morning, and Stacy, I think it was, noted, hey, you can actually get these at Kohl's for the same price because Kohl's is matching Amazon. And of course, Kohl's, you can earn the Kohl's cash and go cash back and all that stuff as well. So that's our goal here, is we're trying to find stuff that has dropped in price. One of the things, and I get this all the time, well, what if Amazon, if you look at the chart and Amazon doesn't share? Well, I don't really get too worried about if Amazon shared historically. Really what matters is what are they going to do now when we have it? And in my experience, and I've been doing this for almost 9 years, I started with Amazon Flips, is they will share a good chunk of stuff. Now, there are items where they're a pain in the ass, and I'll have to really tank the price to get a sale, and may end up losing a few bucks or maybe dropping low margin. But other ones will go and will flip for 75% ROI, and then I'll cover it. So, it's like anything. There's always risk associated with it. There's no risky buys. But with the Amazon Flips, the things that I look for is I'm very careful with Amazon Flips that aren't moving very fast. If the item's only moving 5 units a month, and I'm expecting to get that shared with Amazon, I mean, how many sales am I going to get? But if Amazon's moving 50 units a month, I should be able to move, 2 or 3 in a month or two. And especially with a lot of the Amazon flips, especially like the shoes and clothes, it's a limit 3 most of the time anyway. And it's a good way to go wide, and get some winners that way. And you're going wide, but hey, if it's a pair of shoes, they might have 5 sizes you're buying. So you might be, or 8 sizes. So you still may be buying 20 pairs of shoes at $50 each. What is that, $1,000? Or so you're already you're buying a bunch, especially if you're buying three per. I don't know if my math was right there, but the point being, it can still add up quickly, even though you're sort of going wide, and whatnot. And then again, sometimes you can search and you find another site, and different items. Hey, it might be moving, like a toy. Maybe it's moving 1,000 units a month, so you can go a little deeper if you can find it at Walmart or another store. So, so that's sort of the theory behind it. Before I actually go into searching for it, any general questions? I guess I should also reiterate, we cover this a lot, but you got it, for anybody that's new, you cannot buy with an Amazon Prime account. You want to use an account that does not have Prime. It's against the terms of service of Amazon Prime to make a purchase and then resell it. So you can't use Prime. You should use a business account. For what it's worth, I got my business account shut down for violating its terms of service. I'm not sure what terms and service I violated, but now I just have a regular buying account and it works just fine as well. You can set up tax exempt, and you should set up tax exempt. No point in paying tax on these items. And on top of that, I've fought off many inauthentic complaints utilizing Amazon invoices when I have had issues, as well as other people that I know that do Amazon flips. Amazon tends to like Amazon invoices. Like anything, your miles may vary when you're, applying. What's the word I'm looking for? When you're fighting an inauthentic or an IP complaint or any of that stuff. But in generally, the Amazon invoices are as good, if not better, than any other online arbitrage, receipt/invoice you're going to get. Okay, I think that covers the logistics of it. So I can start showing sort of the settings and doing some searches, unless there's any sort of logistical questions.
I think we're good on that. It's just Marcus's question on the settings there, which you're going to dive right into.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's where I'm going to start. Let's see. Hold on. I can probably make it bigger.
And
then
for anybody who's at a computer, I'd highly recommend you follow along and do this, because once you set the settings, you can kind of see what we're seeing, and how we can kind of go through it all.
Yeah. Okay. So one thing I'll say is I play with these settings all the times, because as I play with the settings, I will get different data points. I like to do the week-long drop. This is sort of looking at, okay, what's the current price versus what's the price been in the past week. Sometimes I will do like a longer drop period, and those might be when I'm looking for things that are slowly dropping in price. And that can be more like seasonal items, like snow boots or something, for instance, that sometimes I'll load up in July or August, because, Amazon will start dropping snow boots down to $15 and they might sell for $150, in season. So, and those won't fall in necessarily the immediate drop. Those are slow price decreases. So you can play with the sort of the drop interval. But the week, I like, and it's the one that's usually my default, but I will switch that, at times, and do, a day. And other times I'll go up to, 3 months or larger. And, the day usually gets me less data. So like, there's only 336 with that. So it can be quicker to go through that. The week, have 1,084 hits. So drop range, I have an $8 range, and I want my item to be at least selling for $20. I have my rank at max of 150,000. You could go a little higher than that. There's plenty of items that will move fast beyond that, but this usually gets me so much data that I do have that locked in there. I want it to have an Amazon offer. I want it to have reviews. And then I just have it show me only one variation so that it doesn't populate so much. And then I sort by percentage. And then, once I do that, that brings up all these items. Let me get my screen a little bit normalized here. And then from here, then I'm just, then I just review the different items. I'll go into different categories. I like it, the electronics, and I'll pop in here and I'll look. And, I just sort of highlight here, and I try to find ones that look like it dropped. So like when I look at this one, what I see is it looks like it went up to a recent price increase and then dropped. So my guess is the average price, it says the average price is 118, but I'm guessing it's because of all this high stuff, and the true average price on a low is more like, closer to the 55. But I can click on it and pull at it and look and say, okay, yes, it's for what it's worth. There's some potential here. 64. And again, it's not to say you could buy this at 54 and you might be able to sell it at 81. But I don't love this one. But hey, it doesn't hurt to look at some of the information. I don't like this. This is a good example of what appears to be an IP complaint of, hey, a lot of sellers on it, and boom, everybody got kicked off the listing. And I believe Logitech might be one that does, well, there you go. It requires approval and whatnot. So just looking at it from an actual look at it, like, hey, what does it even look like at $82? If I throw 82, yeah, it's break even. It's no good. And that's selling at the peak outside of these crazy peaks. So this is one we move on from and whatnot. And, from the speed of doing it, I go through this very quickly, looking to see ones that I like, especially this category. I can look a little closer. You'll see the clothing. We do a lot of clothing and shoe flips, and there's a lot in there. So there's electronics. I'll go take a look at toys and games. So this one looks like one we want to look a little closer at, and you can see it's been selling well, and now Amazon's dropping in. So, this one's an interesting one because, you can see, I'm going to close this graph here. This 50 sales, it looks like it was selling 50 a month. That looks a little slow to actually be 50 a month, but it's definitely selling at this high price. And Amazon just came in stock, and they're hanging out in the right. They only have 2 units. There's a chance this looks like one that might have been discontinued, and Amazon found a few random units. So we can look at the numbers. We're talking 53, $50. It's selling for 72 right now, but let's say 55. 55 is not going to make us a lot of money. Depending on how your rates are with FedEx, you might be better off MFing it. Because you can, if you can keep your costs down. These sort of plush pillowy things, the dimensional weight just kills them. And as soon as you get in the large bulky category, it is ugly. So, and let's see, what was the cost? $23.39. So let's put the actual cost on there. $23.39. You still got $7 net, $33 FBA, but definitely I think this is one. Now, I don't know if you can keep it at $6, but if you can sort of push this down, you might be able to get this affordable shipping rates and make some money here. And obviously, as I said, it's selling for, this is 57, but buy box is 72. So definitely some option here. This is definitely one that's a little risky. I will do, let's see, where is my context menu search? Where are you? Let's see. I can throw this up here and just, I'm not expecting to find anything, but I can do a quick, Google shopping look, nothing for the UPC. We'll search in here, just see if we see it anywhere else based on the fact that it's not selling anywhere. I would be shocked. Here you go. Entertainment Earth, which is, notorious for being slow in shipping stuff. So let's see. Back ordered. Let's see. Is that the same thing? I can't even tell. Let's say Super Mario. Item number 1261, 1261. Okay, so item numbers match. They have SAN, which stands for something on their end. But so I think it's just an image difference. It is probably the same item. I don't know if this will work, but I'll try searching. Darn it. Try searching the UPC on here. It didn't work, but again, I still think that is a match. and I'm guessing Amazon will not stay in stock long. They have had stocking issues. They haven't had, this is the first time they've been in stock since 2022. So they've been out of stock for a year and a half. So again, bit of a gamble that they stay in stock. But this is one definitely I would feel comfortable, posting in the group or buying myself and saying, hey, this can win. I would MF it. If it doesn't MF, well, then my kid's got a stomp. What is this? A thump cushion pillow or something like that. But definitely some potential in that one. All right. Any questions on this one? This is Rev Seller. I also use ASIN Zen. I know a lot of people use Seller Amp. As we get into variations, I'll show you why I like ASIN Zen and Rev Seller. But it gives you all that information. I have it set to give me my placement fees. I'm ignoring low inventory fees, hoping that I can mostly avoid that. But I'm paying the inbound fee. I put that there. I don't estimate a ship to FBA because we do everything in trucks, and I average about 2 cents a pound, so it's minimal for us. So it's not something I factor into buying and whatnot. So okay, let's go to another one here. But feel free to go buy that one. This looks like another one where Amazon has had stocking issues and now we're all of a sudden back. Let's see. So yeah, another one. They haven't had stock since 2022. Wow. This one's been a little slower, but it also looks like it's had less stock. I've been selling that like $70 range. Amazon, this one's a little more concerning because they say they have 856 units. That other one looked like they were very limited. Granted, they could have more. This Asmodi guy, I'm pretty sure, and I may be butchering the name. I think they can be a pain in the ass with. They used to do IPs. Again, this is a good example of an IP. Oh, maybe it wasn't. It looked like an IP complaint, but maybe it's not. But potential IP complaints back here where they're here. They went from 81 sellers to 29. I don't know. Something's going weird because it's not moving. Oh, but it's flying, I guess. I don't know. That could just be them sharing the buy box. Let me just make sure I'm caught. It looks like such a sharp drop, and in this one, it doesn't look that bad. But let's see. The rank's good enough that it's potential those are just Amazon starts to share the buy box. But again, there's definitely some risk here. This looks like as soon as it comes in stock, it's selling. And it looks like Amazon might just be randomly finding some toys. Again, another one where we'd say looks like $74. $70 and $29. You got some profit potential there. Let's see. The low seller count does not scare me because the low seller count, the reason we have a low seller count is because this game's probably been discontinued. One thing, again, we can search UPC up here. We can cash and gun section, Google search this, but I'm guessing we're not going to find any hits because if we did, there'd be sellers. And of course, as I say that, we'll find some random mess carrying this. And look at that. There's Walmart. Let's see. All right. Shipped and sold by Walmart. Let's see. Second edition. Typically sells for $40. All right. So we're going to ignore that guy because we've already got a hit. So, yes, the fact that it's at Walmart personally would scare me away, and I would not buy this because it looks like this is something that these guys might have had a very hard time keeping stock of, and now they're starting to distribute to Amazon and Walmart again because it's just odd to me that Amazon and Walmart both are getting stock right now. Obviously, I have no idea. Maybe Walmart's been in stock forever. But if they were, I would assume we'd see more sellers. And yeah, maybe the sellers are getting kicked off by the other guy. Either way, there's enough red flags that personally I'm passing on this one. People with a greater risk appetite might go for it. Also, if I turn on Ace and Zen, think if I can figure out how to do that. Let's see, extensions, manage extensions, Ace and Insight. Let's turn that on.
There you go. And for those of you who don't know, with Walmart, there's no Keepa. So it's something where you can't track to see what it's been doing, when it came on, or any of that information. So when in doubt, just kind of go with your gut on it, and kind of look at where you can get the information from, which is what you're seeing there on Keepa and what Jeff's talking about here.
Interesting enough that Ace and Zen is not reporting any IP complaints on this one. I don't know, but it still weirds me out so that I would pass on it. But again, other people will go for these type of things and buy it. But I prefer the ones where it's temporary price increase versus these random finds. But again, it's weird, but yeah, it does worry me a little bit. This one might be coming back.
Hey, Jeff, highlight the name of the product at the top and right click and see if the Ace and Zen Insight 360 pops up on as a selection for you, because that might be easier than pulling up to Google. So scroll to the top of the page there.
Yep.
And highlight the Cash and Guns.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then right click on it, like you would.
Yep.
And then see if it pops up Insight 360. It'll show like Ace and Zen next to it. It might be a selection you have to add in.
Yeah, I probably need to add it on, but yeah, we found it here in Walmart. So, all right, cool. We shall move on. Sounds like I need flip extension on and off. Yeah, let's see. Hold on, let me just take a quick. Sorry. Okay, so I'm gonna move on to another product. Let's see.
Sorry, that's looking wrong things here.
Let's see. So Halloween costume for $80 and whatnot. So I'll take a look at that. Let's see what else. So again, this one looks like a slow increase. I'll click it, but I'm already like, I don't think this is gonna work. It just looks like a slow increase. I don't think it's getting back to $40. This one is another one that again, it's one of those temporary increases, not one I'm looking for. Let's see. I tend to just fly through these things and just click on ones I think I know. Again, like when I'm looking at this, I can see that this looks like it's a temporary, it's not a good one. This one looks like it has more out of stock, so I'll take a closer look. And again, this I assume there's no way to make money on this because it looks massive, but I'll click it up there and we can look at it. This one looks like a slower increase, another slower increase, not my type of thing. We'll look at this one. We should be able to probably rule this out pretty quickly, but I'll take a look at it. $56. They only have 5, so that's always a good sign. They're clearly having some stocking issues. So there's definitely one that you can gamble that they'll stay out of stock. The problem is I don't even think this is extra large. So I even think at 108, you're still not making money. Yeah, you're still not making money. It's no good. This is one that's, hey, if you're looking for this is a damn good deal on this. Granted, actually, you can get as cheap as $40. So, but yeah, I'm not buying that. I'm moving on.
Okay. How are you determining that the price drop is temporary? Justin Myers asking.
Yep. So when I'm looking at this right here, just by my quick preview, I see the blue lines going up, and I see like the Amazon price at that. So I'm guessing that what's triggering this is the average price, because there's some recent out of stock, at $40, is that. What I really want is here. The easiest way is, give me 1 second. Let me pull up what's it called? I want to pull up the one I posted today because that will be a good example of one that is not. So give me 1 second, and I will pull that up as I look at my other screen. If you're wondering what the hell I'm doing, so when I look at this one, the screen shows this. I see the price very consistent. I don't see any peaks and a quick drop. So that tells me this is a quick price drop. When I'm looking and seeing something like this, it's the opposite. I see Amazon has been consistently at this price and temporary price ups when they go out of stock. Again, not saying we can't make money there, but those are the riskier types that I prefer to shy away from. Other people will still buy them, but these ones are buying at MSRP, trying to sell at a premium when Amazon goes out of stock. So, it's 22 and it sells at 45, which probably still not going to make money because of the bulkiness of it, but you might be able to MF it. I doubt you're shipping it to a buyer for 488, especially if it's 9-dimensional weight. So I don't think you can even make money on this anyway. But these are, again, you can make money on these, but these are ones that are going to have longer holds, and you're counting on them to go out of stock and then you to be able to sell it at that price, and I want the ones like this where it has a long history of $55, and now I can buy this baby for $25. So, $54, 24, 30, boom, I'm making money. And my risk is lower. I'm not waiting. Theoretically, I'm not expecting to wait long for this to recover in price. You can see down here, occasionally they might, stay low for a little bit. Is a little more concerning. It's priced, the fact that it's Kohl's is good. That allows you to get some more stock, but that also concerns me a little bit because one, you're going to end up, if I search and I can't find it anywhere else, then I know the Amazon limit's going to minimize the competition. If I search this and I see it's at Kohl's, now I know people, scanning Kohl's, which we know is a heavily hit store by resellers, are going to find this item too. Now, the good thing is, since the price matching, most people are like, oh, I can't buy this because it's not profitable, or it won't even come up on the TA searches or their seller AM searches, or it will come up and people say, well, I can't buy that. Amazon's on it. X Guru told me I can't compete against Amazon, so I can't buy this. So, so this is why it can still be good, but the fact that it in Kohl's does concern me a little bit because it may bring on some additional competition. Let's see. I know people love to go in and see. So you can see the variation tab. You can see which ones get the reviews on here. I want to see where the data tab is, the buyback statistics, to see, Amazon sharing. So, Amazon has had the buy box for the past 91% of the time. So a lot of people may look at that and say, I'm not going to be able to get the buy box. But the way I look at it is, hey, look, two of these guys, didn't even price over $50, or didn't even price under $50. And then this guy looks to be a 3P. They priced at $47.85, and they sold their units. They had one and they sold it. So I think, unless they're still on there, let's see. They're not on there anymore. So that to me says, hey, they're on it. They sold it. I'm not concerned. And I don't even look at the stuff. Like, from my perspective, Amazon shares the buy box. Like, if it's moving fast enough, I will eventually get sales. If I don't, if it happens to be one where they're a real pain, they got to really lower the price, so be it. It's it's the same risk of buying something, at Kohl's, that looks good, but it's going to tank because, 400 resellers purchased it. So, in this case, our risk is Amazon doesn't recover in the price, or it takes a little while, or they come back and $35, $40. Okay. Back to this guy, because I want to go through this example. Okay, so Amazon found one of these or has one of these. They're priced at $40. Can we make some money? It was selling for $80. This is one they don't have a lot of stock. I wish we were getting it at 31. It's definitely a better deal at 31. Amazon hasn't carried this in a while. If you have an account with rubies, you could call them up and say, hey, is this discontinued? And try to figure it out. Can't remember if the ruby still has Star Wars. So this is where I like to use the variation viewer. I can see, okay, these other variations are also listed at $70 and $80. I like that. And again, you got Amazon only has one. They haven't had stock for a while. Somebody could buy that, and the buy box is immediately going to go up to $65. Hopefully that guy's repricer adjusts back to $80. His repricer or her repricer lowered because they have a repricer that's going to say probably a pricing whatever to follow the lowest price or whatever it is. Their repricers repricing slightly above Amazon. Once Amazon goes out of stock, I would assume they would go back up to 76. And let's see if this is actually profitable at 76. I would think it is. Your issue, of course, is return rate. But yeah, 76 for 40. I should make this $41. You're making 37% ROI and $14.69. Little tight from a Halloween costume in my perspective, because you're going to have a high return rate because it's a Halloween costume and people are paying. And I should just say it's a Halloween costume, but these things sell year round, as evidenced by this. As late as whatever this is, March 27th, it still was moving 50 units. It looks like a month, though. I do worry about that because something looks off. Because how could you move 50 units between February and March if nobody was in stock? So this Keepa data may not be perfect. Something's off, but either way, it definitely looks to sell. Large is probably taking a larger percentage of the sales. We can also look in the variation tab here and see how it breaks down from a rating perspective. The large has 41% of the ratings, and medium has 40%, and small has 20%. Ratings, Keepa variation data gives you the ratings, which is different than a review. RevSeller just brings the reviews. RevSeller only brings the reviews that happened, I think, in the past year, which was all on the large. But this brings all the ratings, and I think it's through the life of it, not just the past year. Here are the reviews. You can actually see the medium has more lifetime reviews than the large. So I'm pretty confident that both the large and medium are selling. You can also see, obviously, on Keepa with the multiple out of stocks that this guy's selling, going out of stock and coming back. Or he's selling, going out of stock, he's coming back in stock because the person then returned the costume and it's showing back up there. But either way, it looks like it's promising, especially with Amazon only having one. So it's certainly one that I wouldn't, I would recommend that somebody can here buy quickly and have no competition except for that, what's his name? Mad something? Mad costumes.
Joe, as far as the if Amazon has 1,000+ stock, I mean, you can still buy them and you can still sell them. So if they're dropping the price to match another store's price on it, and then the sale goes back up, you want to check to make sure that the Keepa data shows that there's a history of the price going back to normal and it's not constantly having those drops. You can certainly still sell on listings that Amazon's in stock on, and that's not an issue at all. You just generally have to be a little bit lower, but you don't have to. They will sell it at a higher price as well, just won't move as fast. But you want to look at the Keepa data to make sure that that price isn't regularly going down to that price that you're buying it at, and that it's more likely staying at that higher rate, and that they're only dropping it to match some other store's price.
Yeah, exactly. So like if they had 1,000 stock on this one, it would be a pass, no brainer pass, because this is not, we're trying to sell it above retail price. Retail price on this guy's $40. Like that's what it is. So if they had 1,000+ stock, I'd pass. But the fact that they have low stock, we can buy it, get them out of stock, and then flip it for, $75, $80. Well, probably $75.
Marcus, low seller count doesn't necessarily bother us. We want to make sure that it's not something that looks like it's a private label. And we want to make sure that it doesn't look like there's any steep cliffs in Keepa where it looks like there's showing that there could be an IP complaint. But just because it's a low seller count does not mean that it's something that you need to shy away from.
Yeah. So what I might do is, like, again, I know rubies is fine. and I'm not concerned about it. But if I didn't know, I'd pull up some other listings and see how they look, and see if I can find some that have a lot of sellers. So there's 10 sellers on here. It's not an issue. And whatnot. If you have any IP software, again, I use Ace and Zen for that. But I do not worry about it, but it's always a good idea to search other listings to see if there's anything that has any red flags of, hey, I need to avoid this. So you come over to a couple other listings, looks like a bunch of sellers. I'm not overly concerned. Okay. Will other retailers match Amazon if the other retailers if you ask them to match it in chat or whatever? That's a good idea. I admittedly have never tried that. I'm lazy, I guess. I just I'll do a quick Google search. If it's there and I can buy it, I do. But I haven't tried that, and I honestly I don't know their policy. I guess there's some of them. How many units are allowed to purchase if you start violating Amazon policies for overpurchase? So Amazon will have limits on stuff. So in this case, they're in stock. I don't know how many they have, but they have limit 3. So if I go and order 3 and then I go back and try to order 3 more, it won't let me. It's not one where you can do multiple orders and then they yell at you. They have it systematically set up that as soon as you place that order, you can't go back and place another order. Sometimes if they go out of stock and then pop back in stock, the limits refresh. And after like a week or two, the limits refresh. So you can keep going back and buying items. Obviously, one of my concerns would be if it's still there in a week, is it really going to recover? But like lots of times, sometimes I'll be buying, I buy a lot of Lego from Amazon for more long-term holds of, okay, the set has already retired and is retiring. It's a good deal. I know it's not good now, but I'm going to buy now, hold for 6 months and sell it later for 50% ROI, 75% ROI, and whatnot. So, or more or less, depending. But those type of items I'll keep buying, every week as the limits refresh. But something like this, I'd be a little bit more concerned if it's still at my at the low price in a week. So any extra you look at for variations. All right, so I'll go. So sort of to analyze this flip, this is the one I posted in the group, and I'll sort of walk through sort of the variation. So in this case, I see, okay, it's selling. The history, as I said, looks like it shows for $50. And then from the variation, I do a couple things. One, I always like to see, okay, there's 3 colors in this. So what colors are getting the sales? Now, in general, black is usually going to be the one that is getting the most reviews anyway. But what I like about RevSeller is it tells me, in the past year, or I guess since this says September 23rd, it shows showed and verified purchases. There's been 9 reviews on bold black, 3 on bold blue, and 3 on charcoal, and whatnot. And then the size is selling, I shouldn't say selling the most, but have the most reviews, or extra large, medium, large. Again, reviews don't mean it's selling the most, especially because you could have like a color that recently was added to the parent, so you don't know. But the fact that here is bold black has 9 reviews. So that tells me it's getting some sales. So then the first thing I try to do is, so I can sort by my price and see, okay, what variations are on sale. So charcoal's on sale, and whatnot. And I can do 1 and 25, and now that'll get rid of. So these are the only ones that are actually on sale, and it's the bold black and the charcoal. And then I can filter and say, okay, let's look at the charcoal in general and see, okay, so most of them are priced at 24. We got 1 at 38. So I'll look at the extra large. It's got the most reviews, and I'll take a look. So this one I don't love because it has a long history of $40. So the charcoal one, besides being a slower moving one, isn't going to work because 40 into 25 is going to be break even. So we know so that shows me the charcoal doesn't work. So then I go over to bold black, and we got, again, a lot of reviews on this extra large, medium, and extra large, sort of jives with what we're seeing over here. And I'll come look at the different sizes. At this point, everything is priced down. And I just look, okay, this whole year it's been selling. We know it's getting reviews, so it must be selling at this $55 range. I'm still not completely sold on this monthly sold thing, but supposedly, according to this, it's selling, 50 units. We can also go to the data tab. I know this will probably scare some people, but we can go look at the buy box statistics, and we can see, Amazon has been hogging the buy box. Let's get scared. But we don't get scared. We figure Amazon's going to share with us. But, and they just haven't had a lot of competition is what it comes down to. You got two other sellers. One of them is really themselves, and Zappos and Shoe Mall is another large seller, and was probably just MFing it, at a price that's not competitive. And they still got some buy box and sold some units.
Jeff, for people just joining us, can you go back over to your settings so that they can see what the settings are?
Yep. I'll go back there in a second. Let me wrap my review up here. We covered the variations. Oh, the variation tab. Keepa. There's some things I like about Keepa and some things I like about RevSeller/AsianZen. I like that it has the ratings because, an item will get more ratings than reviews, right? So that gives you more data to get an idea of which one's moving. And again, you can see bold black, bold black, bold black, bold black. Is that blue iris? But, the first four are the four popular sizes for bold black: medium, extra large, extra large, and large. So that tells me that the bold black is definitely driving, the sales that are happening on this variation. It has an average rank of 50,000, which is a pretty decent ranking for clothing. And there's only 18 in stock variations. So this is definitely moving. And especially if you look at the average price, it's moving at the $50 range. So to me, this is sort of a slam dunk, purchase. If the margins are what concerned me a little bit. Obviously, knowing you can buy it from Kohl's opens some things up, because then you're getting 20 to 25% back in Kohl's cash and getting some cash back. So now you're talking your buy price is closer to 20, and that definitely makes it a buy for me. But at 24.30, and at 50, you got a 37% ROI and a $9 profit, and that's about borderline for me for clothing item like this that's going to have a return rate. Like, you're going to get returns with this. There's no doubt about it. My return rate around clothes is 8 to 15%. And I would estimate that this would be sort of one of those items that would fall in that realm. So you have if you order 3 of these, you probably have a 30% chance of at least one of those returning. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, one of the things you're going to want to look at also is the actual rating on this. So if it's got 1 star on something, you want to be careful trying to order that, because there's probably a reason, and it's probably going to get a lot of returns. So something like this that's got 4.5 or whatever it is, is probably relatively safe, and it's going to have normal percentage of returns, which is probably in the 10% whatever range of it. When you have something that's got a lower rating on it, it's going to see either something's flawed with the listing, or the size might not fit people the right way, or whatever the reason is. Look at the reviews, actually see what people wrote into it. It might be something that you just may not want to get, even though it looks great for the price. You might not want to get because the returns are going to be that much higher.
Yes, and Amazon started doing this thing where it'll say frequently returned item. So anything with that, you got to assume you're going to have more returns. So be a little extra careful. And this one, it doesn't have it. But again, I still would expect that you're going to get returns, that the return rate is going to probably be 50th, that 10%, return rate. So you just have to factor that into your cost. Again, I still think you can make some money, but you just have to make sure that makes sense. Okay. To reset back to, the Keepa settings, I'm going to go over this quickly. And obviously it's also covered in the first time. You go to Keepa, you go to Keepa deals. You have to have the paid version to access this level of data. And then again, I play with the different I'll do a day, I'll do a week, I'll do 3 months. I'll play with it to get different data. But in general, this is, a good starting point is, having a week drop, 40% drop, the drop range at $8. At times I'll make that higher. Sometimes I'll make it lower. And the price range starting at $20. Again, you can lower that if you want. You can higher it. I go up to 150K. There, and then at least 3-star ratings. I want to see that the Amazon is offer. Sometimes I'll click that off to try to help me find like items that are like 6 p.m. drops and other seller drops. But you can still find other seller. You can still find 6 p.m. drops. They just have to have Amazon on it if you have this set up. 6 p.m.'s a large I guess I'd call it apparel, shoe and clothes company actually owned by Amazon, and they sell directly on Amazon and as like a seller, and we frequently do find some stuff with them. Must have reviews, and then I just show the one variation. So I'm going over this pretty quickly because I already covered this at the beginning. I don't want to waste a lot of time because we only got 10-ish, 15 minutes left here. So, but that's how I configure the settings. And then you can just click through here. Before I dive a little bit more, and I mean, at this point, I would almost go to the point of saying, let's open it up just to sort of questions, because, I've walked through, how, some of these different specific examples, both sort of analyzing it on Keepa as well as analyzing it on the page. So really, is there any other questions?
It could be general sourcing too. So if you have a question on
any questions, it doesn't have to be an Amazon Flip related. While I'm waiting to see if anybody asks any questions, one thing I will say is from you're trying to maximize the cash that you can earn from this, right? So Amazon, I do check cashback portals, but it's very infrequent that they have anything. Used to be, a few years ago, it used to frequently have cash back with shoes and clothes, but it doesn't happen very often anymore. Still worth checking. You can buy gift cards if you have a Chase Ink card. I forget which one it is. I think it's Chase Ink Classic, but one of the ones that gives you 5% at office supply stores, and then you can buy Amazon gift cards from Staples is a way to sort of, increase your points. Sometimes there's online gifts, like gift card companies that make code as office supply stores, and you can purchase there. If you have a card that has extra grocery stores, and sometimes you can find them at grocery stores. I just have a Chase Prime Visa that gives me 5% for buying Prime, and I connect to my Prime account, and then I purchase on my non-Prime account, and I still get the 5%. So I get 5% with that card, and that's the card I use, and that's the card I would recommend. It is, a Prime card, so you do have to have it connected to a Prime account. But then I utilize it for the non-Prime, and I still get my 5%, and whatnot. Okay. What I was going to say? I saw something up there. I think it dropped off.
Yeah, hang on. I'll pop it back on there.
Any advice for teaching VAs or employees? Great. Yeah, I suck at teaching people, or at least my employees. So from my perspective, I mean, I haven't tried to teach any of my employees flips. I just, to me, that's a little higher level, skill set. And I let them focus on other things, and I cover the flips. But, teaching somebody, definitely can utilize, utilize our tools. We'll post in the group or the chat here. Saul and Chris Grant are running, they do the OA challenge, which some of you guys probably have heard of or done. They also they're doing for the first time ever an Amazon to Amazon Flip challenge. I'm sure it's brand new, so I can't tell you what is actually in there, but I'm sure it's going to be fantastic. I actually use Chris Grant's OA challenge to teach my VAs and employees. I guess I don't know if that's in general what I'm trying to teach them. If you're trying to teach them flips, that might be a good, where you purchase the program and then you get access to the recordings. You can provide that to your staff. I do that with the OA challenge for my staff. But if we're talking just in general to teach, somebody how to source beyond just Amazon Flips, but sourcing OA, I don't have the answer to that. I really don't. I wish I did. it is a hard skill set. We've probably hired over the time over 50 shoppers, and I think I have about 10 left. But it's a hard skill set to find somebody. I like to look for data people. People that have experience with data, people that can read graphs, and I people that are good with math. As part of our hiring process, we always make employees take, or potential employees take, a quiz, not about reading Keepa and stuff, but I guess I'll take a step back. The way I set up my hiring process, especially because if you go on Indeed and you post want to hire a shopper, if you word your job posting good, an OA shopper, you're going to get 300 applications in 48 hours probably, especially if you're not looking at a specific region. And then the first step that I always do is I create a bunch of videos so that I don't have to talk to people, and I just I create a video, I attach it to a Google form, and I give the intro to my company. I give an intro. I have an intro video that goes to any employee, and then I have each job has its own video. So then when somebody applies, I ask them a couple screener questions just to see, or my recruiter asks a couple screener questions to get the jackasses hopefully out eliminated. Now you got maybe you went from 300 to 50 people, and then we send the 50 people, we send them a new Google form that has the 2 videos and then a bunch of questions. And there are questions that require thought, but then you start doing some math questions and just different questions just to see if I call it target math. Like, okay, this item is 25% off. It's buy 2 get 1 free. It's also 25% off, and you're using your red card. What's my cost? And see if they can answer that. Maybe it's difficult, but you can do a little Keepa video and then ask them some questions on that. Just trying to find people that at least have a chance of making this work. And then training them. The big thing that I always say is you need to do it yourself. Like I see a lot of go hire a VA. You need to get a sourcing VA. You need to get a sourcing VA. My approach is figure out how to do this yourself and then try to train somebody. You really need to figure it out, learn how to read Keepa, learn how to source items. Then you can train your employees. You can actually hire a sourcing VA that has experience, but you're going to run a high risk of these guys that are sharing leads with multiple people. From my
you can also show them these videos too. So like if they have an aptitude towards this, they're going to be able to look at the video to kind of see it and then send you stuff, and then you can go and review it and say it's good. If they are clueless with it and just come back to you at more questions that were asked during this whole thing, they might not be great. Like, we've had some, or I use VAs in other countries for sourcing. Jeff doesn't. But when I have them go and look at stuff, some of them are great at looking at it, saying, hey, go to Kohl's and get me a bunch of stuff. They're having a huge sale, and they're great at pulling a bunch of things. Other people are not, and they go to reverse sourcing, or they use, keep a product finder for stuff. It's not something where they may not be great at one particular type of sourcing, but they're good at another one. So you spread it out, and you can also look for things that they might be good at that you might not be good at. But ultimately, you have to be able to review the leads and understand if they're any good, because whatever they're sending you, this takes time to do this. You don't want them wasting a ton of time just scrolling through a bunch of stuff and playing around with the settings and then getting you junk. So ultimately, show them these types of videos, make sure that you're decent at it yourself and that you're getting good results. And then, you can teach other people that.
Let's see. What do I do with all my returns? Oh my God. I hate this answer. Or I hate this question, but it's a good question. It's a very good question because you need to have a plan for it. So I do have a whole returns department. I have a guy that is the head of my returns department. Obviously, if you don't have like staff and scale at my level, you just have to make sure that you have time for it. 40 to 50% of the items that we get back, especially in the shoes and clothes category, are fine. It might be a clothing item and it just needs a bag. So we review it and then we process it accordingly. Can it go back to Amazon new? Boom, we put it in a new poly bag, we send it back. We won't send it back if it doesn't have tags. If it doesn't have tags, it's brand new, and now I got to find a way to move it. We do warehouse sales out of here, sort of try to capture that yard sale crowd and just try to get any money back we can, and we sell on eBay. My returns team has a eBay person as well, and they throw things on eBay. I also have a eBay guy that specializes in eBay that I outsource. He just picks up stuff from us and we split the profits. Profits is the wrong word since I'm really just recovering some costs. But you can go to places like Plato's Closet. We've sold some stuff there. Really, I just try to do whatever I can to get some funds back. And again, it's part of the business. You know it's going to happen. And the big thing is just making sure you don't lower your, like, I rarely buy a shoe I'm not making $20 on, because I know the returns are going to kill me on profit. I want 40% ROI and $20 profit, because $10 profit and 30% ROI looks pretty, but it's not so pretty when those returns start tickling in. So really look for, higher. You need to factor in higher margins, knowing that the returns are going to kill you. Because even those 40% that come back sellable, I've paid a return processing fee. I've paid to ship it back to me. I've now paid to ship it to Amazon. Obviously, in some cases, Amazon gets it and automatically puts it back in. Especially with shoes, like 75% of shoe returns, they don't come back to me because they come back to Amazon. I've paid Amazon to process it. But it's not, I don't have to do a removal order and then ship it back in and whatnot. What else we got?
Luke, we missed the fuel perks too. Those loops are great for a while.
Yeah, there used to be a lot of good stuff there.
Bessemer had one that, if you want me to dive into this one a little bit. So he's asking about other categories and things to sell besides Nike, Adidas, and Puma. Now, I am friendly with some other sellers that talk about selling Nikes, Adidas, and Converse quite a bit, and that's pretty much all they focus on. You can make a lot of money doing that. You are also going to be competing against a lot of other people and basically a whole army of people that they've built in their communities that are doing the same thing. So you can sell any of these types of products. I mean, pretty much anywhere where you see an outlet is going to be an easy one to go look at and say, okay, I can sell this type of clothing or those kind of things. But you can also look at any other categories, that stuff that sells quick. And I mean, that can be things like one that I see that's, I think, under looked at by a lot of sellers is automotive. There's so much stuff in there, automotive tools, all those things, they fly through, and you can find some great replens there. Pet stuff is awesome too. You'd be surprised at how many people buy random fish food and fish lights and all sorts of crazy lizard cages and different things that are small and can be shipped easily. And then household goods and grocery are also extremely fast movers. Now, one that I don't sell a lot that I know does really well is cosmetics. I'm just not good at it. So it's something where I get burned all the time. So I always buy the wrong stuff. Then my wife's like, why did you get that? That's the worst thing. And I'm like, I don't know what I was doing. So I stay away from that, because I just don't know it. Now, if I spent a little bit of time and learned it, I'm sure I could go to Sephora and Ulta and all those kind of things and really do well with it, because there are some sellers that do great. And then the other thing would be any of the supplements. Supplements do fantastic. A lot of people order them, they reorder them, they don't get returned. So that's something that can do real well for you as well.
Yeah, and what I'd add, and it looks like we got the same question here too, is I'm a big fan of lead lists. When I was new, that's what I would do. I'd sign up for, and I still have a lead list that we subscribe to. Well, the leads for FBA, we utilize those, then we post them free. We try to give away a couple, 10 copies, a week. If not, we may do a little bit more of that. But lead lists, they may tank and you may not even buy anything, but it gives you ideas. It gives you rabbit trails in the fact that, hey, there's a sale at this store, and it just opens your eyes to opportunities. And the other thing I always tell people is find a store and focus on it. There's some advantages of having diversification across your stores. But my first year, I sourced Kohl's and Sears and Amazon Flips. Those were my three sources, made up 95% of my business for the first year, because I started and I did Sears, and I woke up and I did Sears. That's all I did. I went to the day job, and that night I sourced Sears. But the point being, that's all I sourced was Sears, because I knew when I started sourcing it, and again, I'm not sure Sears is good anymore, but I knew people were making money on Sears. If these guys can figure it out, I can figure it out. Let me just source this store every day, learn the sales cycle, learn the prices, learn how to set some alerts to find out when things go on sale there, and learn that store. And then, I mastered Sears. Let's add Kohl's. And then, I literally would spend 3 months, 4 months on a store, learn that, and then go to another store. I'm 9 years in, so now I have a lot of different stores that I know the sales cycle. But everybody wants to just go from 0 to 7 figures. And, for me, and again, I know people do that. For me, it took some time. Like you have to build it up. You have to build up your repertoire of stores. Again, I don't have a what's the word I'm looking for? We're not getting affiliate, income from, the FBA of leads or leads of FBA, but it is something that, we utilize, and it's a good way just to get some ideas. Let's see.
The limits are usually on ASIN. They're not on per
yes.
thing. So if you wanted to order medium, large, small, extra small, whatever, you can go ahead and do that and do the 3. If it's blocking on each, that's on an ASIN level. And we're going to fly through the rest of these questions here because I know Jeff's got a hard stop here coming up, probably about now actually. But
I got a few more minutes. Let's see. We'll wrap it up at 5:05. I would say is the goal here.
The 15% return rates. So you're getting 10 to 15% back, and then 50% of those things that you get back can often get,
Well, hold on. I figured this out before. I forget what it is, but so let's say that it's 10% return rate. So we sold 100, we get 10 back. Out of that 10, 6 of them I'm not going to see. They're going to stay at Amazon because they're going to show up at Amazon. Amazon rep's going to look at that and say, oh, that's fine. Maybe even 7. Those are fine. It's not actually damaged. The customer tried it on. It didn't fit. We'll rebag it for you and send it back. Send it back into Amazon as new for you. Now, then I'll get the 3 or 4 back. And of course, you also have ones where it may not even touched by the customers. The customer likes to buy extra large and large. They opened up the extra large. It fit. They didn't even try on the large. They shipped it back to you. But whatever reason, or of course, they needed it for some event and Amazon screwed up delivery. Whatever the event is, a lot of these will come back. They will go back and I won't see them. Then the 3 to 4 that Amazon didn't put right back into my sellable inventory come back to me. We'll say 4. Out of those 4, 2 will probably go back to Amazon as new. And now I have 2 returns, which is only 2% out of the 100 that we sold that are now unsellable. And then that 2% is what I need to try to, liquidate through eBay, warehouse sale, donate, whatever you're going to do to try to gain some money for that 2%. And so even though it's a 10% return rate, out of that 10%, I can still sell, 80% of it. I think that's right. Yeah, 80% of that 10%. And I only end up with 2% that's dead. And in that dead, again, still not completely dead, I should hopefully be able to recoup some of my money on another platform. And even if I just get 50% cost, now really I'm now down to, I've got my cost back on one of the 2 units. And then I've had one that I had to write off essentially. And hopefully I've made profit on the other ones, especially if I factored in making sure I have higher profitability and margins when I made the purchase in the first place.
Now we could probably go into a whole nother video on the numbers and everything with it, but one thing they do need to keep in mind is that Amazon still keeps the fulfillment fee on each of them, so you're not getting it back and selling it at that same amount. You do lose that money of their fulfillment fee every time that they fulfill it. So if you have a constantly returned item, you are eating away at your profits, and you do need to keep an eye on that. But again, that's a whole nother.
And there's a whole separate return processing fee. I think it's always been in place. It's been in place for shoes and clothes for longer, but starting June, they're going to add it in other categories.
Completely remotely from Brazil. If that's a loaded question. If you already have something going, and you already have your LLC set up, you've picked a state, you have an agent that goes through it all, and you got all your bank stuff situated, and you're trying to sell all this. I mean, you're talking about getting VPN set up so you're not getting order cancellations, having a US bank, and then an address that's that you're not getting flagged as something suspicious. There's a lot of ways to do it, and then you have to have a prep center set up where you're sending everything into. You can certainly do it. It is a lot trickier than just being in the states themselves and trying to go through. But there's a lot of people in our Discord group that do this. So if you join if you're not already in our Discord, which you probably are, but you can kind of go through and ask some questions in there, and some people will be able to steer you in the right direction.
Okay, so let's see. I'm going to show this one real quick. $10 and 40% for shoes. I think that's a little low. I prefer 20, at least $15. Shoes are bulkier, so they have higher fees. So those definitely concerned. And the shoes are just returned more. There's a higher return rate on shoes. Shoes you can be at 15-20% return. I didn't look at what my percentage is this past year, and it's been going up. In 2020, they were not too bad. And I think with the economy going to shitter and more people learning how to do return fraud, it's just it's been going up. But I would go a little higher. The 10 and 40% for clothes actually sounds okay, because clothing is usually smaller and the return rates are the fees are a little lower, that you can manage that. But with the shoes, I mean, it costs, I think, $4 on a removal order on the shoes now, I think, or something like that. $3. I forget what it is, but it's a lot.
Yeah, I think on Nikes, Adidas, Converse, I think I was at like somewhere between 14 and 16% returns. On all the other ones, like, getting to New Balance and, all those kind of other brands that are a little bit more off from there, it was a lot less. But a lot less is still 10, 12%. And then if you get into women's shoes and kids' shoes, it's typically a little bit more than men's shoes.
Yeah, and especially like types of shoes, right? So like the dress, and it's the same thing with clothing, right? Like if you're buying, and I used to do a lot of Halloween costumes. I've mostly got out of it. But one of my Halloween suppliers was, more of like what's the right word for it? I guess like sexy type of like adult women costume, and it was 30% return rate. It was just impossible to make money. I'd sell them like, holy nice, I'm doing good. I got 50% ROI. I'm making nice profits. And October is looking great on my P&L. And then comes November, and it's all wiped out with 30% return rate. So you got to be careful with that and whatnot. Mistake you learned from A to A. Yeah, I mean, I guess one thing you noticed, probably for those of you that have been here since the beginning, I'm very careful with, I want to find the ones that are buying under MSRP, trying to sell at MSRP. The temporary price drops. If you get too enthralled with the ones that are, it's selling at $40, but hey, Amazon went out of stock for a while and it looked like it was selling for $100, and now they're back at $40. Like, you're not even sure it's really selling at $100. It might have been priced at $100, and then just making sure it's so I tend to veer away from that. Again, there's still opportunity. Like I like that Nintendo Stone Block pillow, because that looks like something that's discontinued and back ordered, and we probably flip it quick. But I am a little careful with that. And then I know somebody mentioned this, to jump back to the returns processing, but you want to, when my returns team is looking at the returns, if somebody sent me the wrong item, I actually just got this. It was, I forget what it was, but it was a big home item. I don't know if it was like a big pot or something. Like, I think it was a ceramic pot, and it's supposed to be 22 pounds. And my MF returns team, because we MF the product, got it, and it's like, there's like 3 pounds in here. What happened? The person returned it. They just put the packing material in. They didn't even put the item in it. They just returned the box. Like, and with FBA, you'll get that type of stuff too. And you can't, if a customer buys your toy, opens it up, shreds it, puts it in a bag and ships it back, you can't get any money back. But if they open up, and I do this with Halloween costumes sometimes, they open it up and it's like a Mario costume and they don't provide the mustache back, you might be able to get it back, saying like fraud. Essentially, the only way you can win fraud cases is they provide a different item back, they didn't provide the item back, or they forget, they don't provide a little accessory or part of it, and you can fight those returns. But if they completely damage it, you're not going to win. They wear the shoes for 3 months and return the dirty shoes, I think that's a losing battle. But they return the shoes but don't have the shoelaces, boom, you might be able to get refunded because they didn't return the item. So what was the aha moment when it started to take off because you got A to A? I mean, to me, I started with A to A, and it just was, I just remember the first, my first batch of stuff. I'm like, this doesn't really work, but I was like, I'll give it a shot. And I think it was some Motorola phones or something I bought, and landline type of phones. I think they're cordless, but and I must have bought them for, I don't know, like $30 and sold them for $80. And it was just like,
for half of our followers here, a landline is a phone that plugs into your house and you dial.
So really, it really was from the beginning of like, oh wow, this is pretty cool, and it's just a different way to source, and obviously learning, to utilize it to drive you to other sales, to find the other, marked, the store that is price matching. That's always a good idea to search and find, because you might be able to get more quantity, especially with something that's moving fast. Okay. Anything else? I guess just to close, I was going to discontinue to say with Lego. I'll show this real quick. So, I mean, sometimes, it's already been discontinued and Amazon has it, but, it's also a matter of, like there's a lot of, if you just Google Lego retirement list, you can find them. They may not be accurate, but that's how, there's people that put them out. I think Brick Economy is one. I'm trying to think, what is the one? Brick Tap, I think, is one other one that I utilize. If somebody posts in the Discord and reminds me, I can go and post one. But you can utilize that and make guesses. But lots of times too, by Q4, it may have already be close to being announced, and you can start making some guesses. You're not always right. Sometimes another time is it probably was set, and then the sales went so well. I think sometimes happens is so many investors buy up all the stuff trying to load up, and then Lego's like, oh damn, that sold well. I guess we'll extend that a year. So sometimes it doesn't work out, but it's just best guesses. And other items, it's harder. It is harder. There's a lot of items that you can find that are discontinued, but it is harder to sort of validate it without, going directly to the supplier or having a contact within the supplier. Okay. I think the last thing, just sort of wrap it up. I said it a little bit during it, but our buddies at Clear the Shelf are have an A to A challenge if you guys want to get some more training. Obviously, we're going to continue to put out some of our own material here, as well as, I'll put out some more videos. We'll do other, lives like this. I'll continue to post the flips. But if you just can't get enough, Chris Grant and Saul are doing a A to A challenge. I think it's $200 or $300 or something for like a 5-day course or something like that. I probably should have looked at the data a little bit more. But go
to their site. It's really easy to find with a Clear to Shelf.
We'll post it. I think I gave it to you. I don't know if you can throw it in the chat or whatever.
Probably.
I think in Discord, but if not, we'll post it in as well. But they're going to give us 48 hours. They'll give you guys 25% off, and for 48 hours. So if anybody's interested in learning more, we are not getting any affiliate revenue from this. We just sharing it for you guys as well. And again, we'll continue to put out our own material here for free. But if anybody's looking for some more in depth, where you may talk, have them talking about it for hours instead of me squeezing in an hour, that'll be a place to check out. So there you go. Joe just put it there. We'll post it in the Discord as well.
I'll post it on the A-Day flip section as well. And just so everybody knows, like the stuff that we're posting in the Discord, like stuff that we actually buy. Now we hold off on it to make sure that everybody else gets a chance to buy it. But if it's still sitting there at the end of the day, like we are buying those leads. These aren't something that we're just throwing in some random stuff and it's like the bottom of the barrel thing. Like these are actual buyable leads that we put in there to benefit the group. And we hope that you buy them. It does a lot of good things when you do buy the leads, and when you do get Amazon to get out of stock so that other sellers can
just don't tank the prices.
Yeah, do not tank the prices.
Stay strong. But yes, I do purchase these leads.
Diamond hands.
And sometimes you just have to wait, and there will be losers. I can't. You can't predict. Sometimes something has been priced at $50 for 12 months and it drops down to $25 and you think it's a temporary, and next it's 6 months later and it didn't increase. There's risks with anything. Just it is what it is. But at the end of the day, I've done well with it, so I continue to do it. So can't think of anything else. I said the A to Z flip channel within the Discords will continue to post there. Even if you're not buying, just I try to add some information about like my thought process in there. So just it's good to read. It's good to understand. And if you have questions, just post them and we'll try to explain it. And I think that's it. Thanks everybody for joining.
All right. Appreciate it.
I'm gonna end this.